Hi everybody, it's Kathleen again. I was thinking about Sam Backman once I saw an interview with him. And, well, I saw several interviews with him, but this one, he was asked if these really malignant toxic types recognize each other in meeting and know what they're dealing with. And, oh yes, he said right off the bat, you know, they see it in each other. And I have a funny story then, because I was married before when I was 20 years old for 3 years to this guy who didn't love me. I chased and chased and chased and chased him. And sure enough, I got him. I got what I wanted, somebody who didn't love me. And his mother is a narcissist, big time covert narcissist. And she was really, really intelligent though. And I'll tell you what, my narcissistic mother met her match with this one. It's kind of makes me laugh now when I look back on it. At the time, it was one of those things that stayed in my mind. And now I see why. Anything that stays in my mind and just hangs there, is all coming together now. I mean, in this third stage of healing, everything is starting to make sense. Everything that didn't make sense, everything that made me take pause and think for a minute. The hell, you know. Now I see exactly what it all is. Well, here's what happened. I was going to marry this guy, and his mother is this toxic type, wacko, covert narcissist. And I didn't want a wedding. I was the kid, remember, that never rocked the boat, never asked for anything. I certainly wasn't going to ask for a wedding. I didn't want anything. I didn't want a dress. I didn't want a wedding. I just wanted to marry this guy. But the husband-to-be, he wanted a wedding. So he was from a wealthy family. And his father was an engineer with GE, and he actually had some patents, and he designed I don't know what piece for it, but some part of the lunar landing module for Apollo 11. Apollo 11, I think it was. I always get that mixed up, Apollo 11 or Apollo 13. But I think it was Apollo 11 where they had the lunar landing module. He designed some parts to that lunar landing module. And, you know, he's a really smart guy, too. So, my first husband's mother marries this guy, met this guy in college, and both of them were, you know, equally intelligent. And so my narcissistic mother met her match with this woman. She invites all of us to her home so that we could sit down around the table and plan this wedding. And my mother was going to pull what she would pull with everybody. She wasn't going to lift a finger. She wasn't going to pay for anything. She wasn't going to be bothered with any of this. But she didn't know what she was going to be dealing with. This lady, this ex-mother-in-law, very covert, but very, very sneaky and intelligent. So intelligent that she tricked my narcissistic mother into having to do something. And boy, did she try to wiggle out. we just don't have the money. You know, we don't, you know, my husband isn't an engineer like your husband, and, you know, I wasn't expecting this big expense, and I have to, you know, I have to buy a mother of the bride dress, and I didn't expect that, and I have to do this, I have to do that. My husband has to get a tux, which, by the way, we paid for his tux and everything else, but whatever. She tried to weasel out, you know, she wasn't gonna be able to pay for anything, because my ex-mother-in-law was trying to get my narcissistic mother to express in this meeting what it was she could do. She was so wise and sneaky. She said, oh, well, if you, in that covert, sickening sweetness, the sickening sweet covert narcissist, she says, well, if I understand, if you can't afford to do anything, or to, you know, to pitch in with the money or to pay for anything, that's fine. We can pay for all of it. What you could do then, instead of pitching in financially, you could, we're going to have the reception at my church hall. So what you should do is join the ladies of the church in the kitchen and put all of the tables together and all the food together and do the catering. She wanted my mother to do the catering now for this. And actually, this woman had money. She could have hired a catering service, but she wanted, she was sneaky. She had the ladies of the church. All these people were popular, so people rushed to them to do anything for, you know, rich people that are popular in the church. Everybody, it's not hard to get a bunch of people to do stuff for you, yeah, I guess. So it turned out she had all these, I call them ladies of the church, all these women cater my wedding. My ex-narcissistic mother-in-law didn't lift a finger. That's how slippery these narcissists are. They get other people to do all the work, and be happy about it. Well, she confronted my mother at that meeting and said, "That's fine if you can't. You know, the financial is I understand that, but you could do the work. You could go along with these women, and that's what you'll be doing then." And boy, my mother wasn't gonna lift a finger. So my mother says, well, I'll tell you what, I do make a really good macaroni salad. I know a lot of people have always raved about my macaroni salad. And so I could make macaroni salad, and I put, you know, I remember my ex-mother-in-law in this meeting saying we could have green olives. My mother says, I put green olives in the macaroni salad. My mother said something about, I said, what was the big deal about the green olives? You know, ooh, a dish of green olives. And my mother said, my narcissistic mother said, oh, she's from the Depression era, and that's like a luxury, green olive. Luxury, green olives, whatever. But I know my mother, she put tuna fish, and she did have a good macaroni salad, and she did put green olives in the macaroni salad, and it was delicious. So she weaseled out of doing any work with these women that, like, you know, banquet work. She wasn't going to be doing hard labor banquet work for my wedding. She was going to be served. So she figured she'd make a bowl or two of macaroni salad, and that would be it. Well, my ex-narcissistic mother-in-law invited tons of people from all over the country to this wedding. So my mother had to make lots of macaroni salad, not just a bowl. she had the kitchen all bubbling up, and my mother, you know, my mother, I hate to call her that, her house was absolutely spotless, and she didn't like, even, I wasn't allowed to cook ever, even as an adult. No one was allowed to touch her cupboards or cook or do anything or wash dishes, or you had to, you know, and so bubbling up, she was making this macaroni salad. It was going to be a mess and a lot of work, you know. So I have to laugh now when I think about it, because she was really pissed about having to do that. And my ex-mother-in-law really got over on her and forced her to do something. And my narcissistic mother complained about that wedding and how much it cost her in time and energy and money because of her mother of the bride dress she bought and all this, you know, whatever she complained about not being prepared to have to do all this for doing anything for a wedding. You know, this wasn't what she had planned at that time in her life. It really put her out. I heard so much about that, and it really put a damper on it. It was a beautiful little wedding. It really was nice, and she really put a damper. Every time, you know, people raved about it, or we remembered it, or pictures came out, you know, she would add, oh, that was it. I didn't, you know, that really put me back financially. Always puts her back financially. She had money too. They traveled constantly. They gambled. They traveled. They lived a very, very good, easy life. Because my father made good money. For not having a college education, he still did very well. He was in the Korean War. When he came back from the Korean War, he got a house with a GI Bill, and he got he had training in the Army Security Agency with the radios. So he had technical or whatever training there. So when he came out, he worked himself up and learned to be a tool and die maker. And then later in his life, he actually was a model maker for IBM. So, and making really good money at this time that she was complaining about my wedding. So, I mean, he was making good money, and she had sold a business. She had that nursing home business, like I told you, when I was in high school, and when she kicked out my little sister. We had money, but she didn't spend it on us. But anyway, whatever. But she always cried poverty. And I was a fool and believed her. I have so many stories I could tell you. I mean, I knew it didn't make sense. I knew my father was making good money. I knew that they, you know, went out constantly, ate out constantly, gambled when they felt like it, went on these lavish trips. I knew all that, but I didn't ever say out loud in my mind, my mother has got to be a liar. This isn't adding up. I just was like, well, I guess they don't have any money after, maybe their bills it's hard to pay their bills after they bought all name brand things. They really, she didn't ever watch her money, ever have to. Like, I'm always, you know, very easy life. And this crying poverty was just bullshit, and it was constant. And not really poverty, but I didn't expect that expense, and she was always put out financially, you know. Unbelievable. So my covert narcissistic sister, golden child sister, came in for my wedding, and